Hi everyone, welcome to this series called Expert Diaries, wherein we talk to email marketing experts from across the world, where they talk to us about tips, tricks of the game, and also share their insights, which will help us in a longer run. And I'm delighted to have with us today Jean Jennings. She is a Washington-based email marketing geek. We can actually call her an email marketing guru. She is a founder and a chief strategist at Email Optimization Shop, which is a boutique consultancy focused on optimizing bottom line marketing performance with strategic testing. She's also written a book called The Email Marketing Kit, the Ultimate Email Marketing Bible, and she also teaches. Jean, I hope I've got it all right.
That is yes, that is most of it. And I also run Only Influencers, which is a community of email marketing professionals, and we have an annual conference that takes place usually in Las Vegas, although last year it was virtual in the summer. So yeah, but it's all focused on email. I'm so happy to be talking to you today. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you. Before we start talking about holiday email marketing, which is the topic of today's discussion, I would like to know a little more about you. How did it all start? When did you realize that you are really good at it and make a career out of it?
Wow. Well, I started in online marketing right out of school because I really felt like online was the future.
Mhm.
And then I did email and I did websites and I did a whole bunch of stuff. And then I had a guy who I'd worked for, and then we didn't work together. And then he got a new job and he called me and he said, "Hey, I want to hire you. I want you to come work with me." And he said, "The thing I've got right now is I have this job for basically head of email marketing here." And he said, "I know you do email. Why don't you take this job? Because I can hire you right now if we slot you into this spot. And, if after 6 months it doesn't work out, we'll move you somewhere else in online." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, yeah, let's give that a shot." And that really kind of started my focus on email marketing. And I just really, really love it. I really love the reporting that you get. I do a lot of testing. I love working with it. So years later, when I went out on my own, it just seemed to make sense to start an email marketing consultancy. There were a lot of people building websites, but there weren't a lot of people focused on helping improve email. So that's kind of how it started. I sort of fell into it, but it's definitely my passion.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So we'll start our discussion. And like I said earlier, it's today's topic is holiday email marketing. 2020 has been a different year. Anything we've ever seen, it's nothing like that. So, given
Yes,
the situation we are in, should business be investing in holiday email marketing?
they should. There have been a couple studies that are out. There was one done by Criteo where 88% of people said they were planning to shop online this year. I just saw one this morning from Verizon Media
Mhm.
that said that a full third of the people they interviewed were going to shop exclusively online.
Right.
So with everything that's going on with the pandemic, we're sort of here in Washington, D.C., things aren't back to normal yet. So a lot more people are going to be shopping online. And if people are going to be shopping online, what you want to do is you want to send email to let people know what you've got, that your online shop is open, what your shipping policies are, and just to keep your brand top of mind. So email marketing is actually more important than ever this year because of the shift to online, because it's an easy click from an email to your website to buy. And that's what businesses need to be focused on.
Great. Also, these are sensitive times. We need to be careful about the kind of messages we send. So, according to you, how sensitive should marketers be while sending out campaigns? And if you have any suggestions that we marketers should follow while sending out mass emails?
Yeah, it's a really difficult time. There are people who've been able to work from home and earn a salary, and they're doing fine financially. And honestly, some of those people are doing better because you don't have the spending that you would usually have on the theater and eating out and things like that. But there's a whole lot of other people who haven't been able to work, or their hours have been drastically reduced. I think of my friends in the restaurant industry where they've been hit very hard. And for those people, it's a really different economic situation. They're struggling. So I think it's important to be cognizant of that this holiday season as we're marketing to people. And there's a couple ways to do that. One that I think is going to, smart companies are going to use this year is allowing people to adjust how much holiday marketing they get. So for instance, giving people the option to snooze or giving them the option to get maybe just one holiday email a week, because that can be very frustrating. If you know that you're struggling financially, you don't want to keep getting these emails. The other thing to think about when you're sending emails is make sure you have products in them of all different price points. I'm working with a client now. They are basically it's corporate gifts. So it's companies that would buy gifts for their employees or gifts for their clients or customers. And we're seeing an uptick in the lower price gifts there. And so we're trying to make sure every email we send has a mix of high and low price gifts to appeal to everyone. So those are two things that you definitely want to be doing because it is difficult financial times for some.
Right. Do you think timing matters? Because earlier the holiday buzz starts from Black Friday and then we move on to Christmas, New Year's. Do you think should this year be different in terms of when we start?
So interestingly enough, in the email marketing world, holidays actually usually start early. There was a company, I used to love watching them, who would report on the first holiday email they could find every year. And it was usually sometime in August. So it's usually very early. But yeah, if you haven't started your holiday email marketing yet, it's definitely time. As I said, with my corporate client, we actually started in late September and we've seen sales and orders and things ever since we started. So definitely don't want to wait until Black Friday. You definitely want to jump in earlier. The other thing that we're seeing is that I don't know if you remember back when the pandemic started, Amazon 2-day delivery.
Yes.
When Amazon 2-week delivery, all of a sudden, and so that's another thing that companies and customers should have top of mind this year. So the idea that if you want to get it somewhere for Christmas, you want to make sure you order early enough because the companies are having similar issues in supply chain getting products. So for that reason, to avoid shortages and to make sure things can get delivered on time, companies need to start marketing earlier so customers can buy earlier. I think we've seen that. Amazon Prime had their Prime Day. It was just a week or 10 days ago. And that is later than usual. But a lot of companies pegged their own sales around that same time because the feeling is that if customers are in the mode of getting a deal and buying gifts for Christmas, you want to make sure that you're a viable option for them. And Amazon Prime, I know a lot of companies, and we did it too. We scheduled sale for the same time.
Before we talk about examples and how are you handling your clients, I would like to also discuss about segmentation of lists. Lists are an important part of any email marketing campaign. So how do you suggest one segment their list?
There are a million ways to segment the list, and it really depends on what your goals are, and it depends on what data you have to segment by. So segmentation, it's not like a one size fits all. I would say you want to take a look at your list, and if there's segments of your list that have been less active in the last year, you probably want to send it through a list hygiene service to make sure you don't have spam traps or anything, and get your list cleaned before you start mailing. One thing that we do a lot with segments is with my clients is we segment by activity levels. So one thing that we're doing is we're doing resends, but we're not resending to the entire list. We do strategic resends about a week after the send, only to the people who clicked but didn't end up purchasing.
Okay.
We have a lot of luck with those. That's a really smart way to do resends because you're not remailing to the whole list, which is troublesome because if people open it again and they weren't interested the first time, they're going to be bummed. You're going to kind of train people not to open. So it's a very limited, it's a very small send, but we have a very high return on it. We usually hope to get about a 50% increase in revenue per email, and we're seeing increases of like 1,000 and more. It's huge. So that's a very smart thing to do. It sounds counterintuitive. You think if they clicked and they didn't purchase, they must not have been interested, but we actually find exactly the opposite. Okay. You also want to think, if people are more active, if they're opening and clicking your emails, they're probably more open to a higher frequency. So that's another thing you can do based on your behavioral data that you've seen, is mail those people a little more frequently, mail the people who are inactive a little less.
So now I find out people who are active to my, or rather more responsive to my campaigns. How frequent should the emails be, according to you?
Again, there's no set answer. It really depends on what relationship people have with your brand. In general, if you're sending email less than once a month, that's probably not going to be enough. People are going to forget about you. A lot of brands can go weekly, and that's a good thing to help keep your brand top of mind. You want to go at least weekly, but how frequently you send really depends on the content that you're sending. I mean, think about it. There's probably emails you get from brands that you open every day. There's probably other emails you open them maybe once a week or less. So you really want to you want to think about what you're sending, and you want to think about who it is. You know, I always say, I mean, I get emails from my favorite shoe store just about every day. I probably don't open every day, but I probably open 3 or 4 times a week because I like to see what they've got. But you know, like my brother, who's awesome, he's married. He would probably like to get emails from the shoe store before his wife's birthday and before Christmas and before their anniversary. And then he would probably look at them and buy her shoes. But to get them, he's not going to open them like I do. There's just no reason. So it just depends on what the relationship is with the brand.
And again, another important aspect of an email campaign is the content. So, what one must keep in mind while crafting the content? Again, we live in a sensitive time right now. What should we be mindful of?
You know, we've been talking about empathy ever since this started, and that is still going to be important this holiday season. I have another client, and they're actually making a donation to Toys for Tots for every purchase. They're a B2B client. So you want to think about empathy. You want to think about how you can show your prospects and your customers that you're doing something to try to help in this difficult time. So that's very important for content. The other thing I would say is, especially for holiday, you know, a lot of the things that we used to go out and do, we're now doing at home. So my movie theater here in Georgetown is closed. So if I want to see a movie, it's in my living room. Restaurants, eating out a lot less because of COVID, even though there's a lot of streeteries here where you can eat outside. So cooking. So you really want to think for content in terms of home-based gifts. So for instance, I have a friend, big coffee drinker, was really missing his daily Starbucks. Family got him a fancy espresso machine. So I think things like that are really going to be popular for the holidays. Really anything that's home focused. Think about it. We all used to go to the gym. Now people are buying fitness equipment so they can work out at home. So things like that I think are going to be really big gifts this year. And, you know, in general, when you send an email, you want to try to surprise and delight as much as possible. It's not easy, but anything you can do to brighten a day, to put some surprise and delight, to show some empathy in those emails, all of that is really going to help. Video is also really big and only getting bigger. I think now that we're all doing Zoom calls, we're getting a lot more comfortable with it. It's, as you well know, it's very easy to do a Zoom call and turn it into a video. It's very easy to use your phone to make a video. So that's another thing I think that companies should really leverage. And it's not expensive. Small and medium-sized businesses can easily do it. The key is figuring out what that content is. It might be the owner of your business talking about holiday, maybe showcasing products they have for sale, maybe talking about how they're helping their community, maybe just with a kind of a personal message to prospects and customers, you know, telling them to hang in there.
With so much of experience under your belt, can you share with us some campaigns that you worked on, holiday campaigns that have worked really well this year or previous years, your favorite ones?
Wow. Well, years ago, my first big client when I went out on my own was Hasbro. And so that was a fun holiday season because it's toys, and toys are generally very fun. So that was a really fun campaign just because of the products we got to work with. Back then, we did a lot of emails where we were sort of, we were driving people to certain retailers. So that would be interesting. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see, what else have I done that's fun? We're having a lot of fun now. We're doing, and I guess as an email marketer, my idea of fun might be a little different. My client that we're doing a holiday for now, we went out with a really aggressive testing campaign starting in September. So basically every primary send we've done, we've had at least one test and sometimes more. And we're getting a lot of very cool learnings. You know, we're learning that actually having more products in emails drives up the revenue per email. So we're actually playing with that right now. We have a test going next week with an email that'll have 11, which is kind of a lot for us. We had some that had as few as 2, and by bumping them to 4 and 6, we saw big increases. Doing a lot of testing of subject lines, which is, I think a lot of people test subject lines because it's easy. When we test subject lines, we try to come up with formulas that we can recreate. So for instance, we found that rather than leading with a holiday message, you want to lead with something that talks about the products in the email. We found that, again, simple stuff, having a percentage off at the front of the subject line really helps. We're doing a lot of work around creating subject lines, pre-header text, and headlines that all work together and aren't repetitive, and playing with that. But yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. We're getting a lot of really good learnings. We're doing a lot of lead generation for them as well. So we're learning what works there, and we're playing with the form, doing a lot of scoring. So that kind of stuff, I jam on that. I love doing email marketing testing.
Talking about testing, you know, how important it is. You just spoke about it, but can you just tell our viewers how helpful and how important it is to test any campaign?
It's very important. The only way that you're going to improve your email performance is by testing. And it's a little bit, it can be a little bit difficult if you have a small list. You really need to have at least 40,000 on your list in order to do an A/B split test in a single send, so that you have 20,000 per cell. But if you have a smaller list, you can test something over a couple sends. So for instance, a lot of times we'll test wireframes. So just how the email is laid out. So the content is different for each send, but the wireframes stay the same, the A/B split wireframes, then you can see. So testing is really critical. And you want to make sure that you're testing formulas and things that you can recreate rather than just testing something that's a one-off for this campaign. I see a lot of people who want to do a test and then they'll do a little test at the beginning and then send the winner to the winning creative to the rest of the list, which is a fine thing to do. But you really want your testing to be focused on bigger picture things that are going to go beyond this send.
My last question to you, 2020, as we discussed, wasn't great, but do you think a good holiday email marketing campaign, a properly crafted campaign, will set things right for 2021 for small businesses?
I think it can. You know, the idea behind email marketing is building relationships. So if you can build a relationship in the holiday season, for a lot of small businesses, this is a very important part of the year. They get a lot of revenue from their holiday sales. If you can build those relationships now, not only will you get the holiday sales, but you'll get sales next year when people have birthdays and other events that they need to buy for. So this is a time when I think across the board, we're not seeing people doing less email, we're seeing people doing more. And that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you so much, Jane, for talking to me, taking your time out for us. It was great talking to you, so much to learn, and thank you again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Happy holidays.
You too. Happy holidays to you too. And happy email marketing.
I like that. Happy email marketing.
Yeah. All right, then. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thanks. Take care.